For as long as I can remember, I've noticed this invisible market that seems to govern all of our lives. It's not on any stock exchange, and it's definitely not trading in dollars or gold. No, the currency here is something far more personal, far more fundamental.
And that brings us to the core idea of this whole thing. Imagine a marketplace where your actions, your words, even your silences, they're the coins. That's what you're trading every single day for survival, for acceptance, for your very place in the world.
So what exactly is this unseen marketplace? Well, think of it as this vast, invisible social economy. And guess what? We're all traders in it, every single one of us. We're constantly making these little deals for status, for a bit of security, just to feel like we belong. Nobody gets a pass.
Okay, so let's put a clear definition on this. We're calling it the behavioral market. It's an economy where our behaviors are the currency. Simple acts, like obedience on one hand or honesty on the other, are used to purchase social goods, things like getting ahead at work or being accepted by your family.
All right, now let's dive into the actual currencies. Let's start with the most common ones. You can think of these as the low-risk investments of this market, kind of like government bonds, you know? They seem safe, stable, a sure thing.
And what are they? Things like obedience, silence, flattery, compliance. These are the blue chip stocks of the social world. The return on investment is pretty predictable, even if it's not huge. They keep everything running smoothly, they keep the system stable, and they're supposed to keep you safe. At least, that's the promise.
I first really saw this market in action way back in school. I remember this one teacher laying down the law. The number one rule was simple. You respect your teachers, period, unquestioningly. And it hit me, this wasn't just about classroom discipline. This was our first lesson in currency trading. We were being taught the value of our first and most powerful currency, obedience.
And the transaction itself? So simple. Your investment is just unquestioning obedience. And the reward? Bam! Instant gratification. You get that good student certificate, you get the nod of approval. You're in. But, and this is a big but, there's a hidden cost, a steep one. It's this quiet, slow suffocation of who you really are, of your own voice.
That's the real danger in this trade-off, isn't it? The feeling of belonging you get, it's bought by, well, betraying yourself. It's like you have to amputate a part of your own spirit just to fit into the box they've made for you.
Okay, so that's one side of the market, but what about the other? Let's talk about the high-risk, high-reward stuff. These are the volatile currencies, the ones that can pay off big time. We're talking about authenticity.
So, let's go back to that classroom for a second. There was this one kid who decided to trade with that riskier currency. He actually put his hand up and said, "Hang on, I don't think respect should be automatic. Shouldn't it be earned?" Such a simple thing to say, right? But in that little market, it was like an earthquake, a total disruption. And this is where it gets really interesting. You see how the market fights back? It has this defense mechanism. It takes these really powerful, authentic acts and just relabels them to make them seem worthless. So your honesty, that gets called aggression. Your assertiveness, now it's arrogance. Having some self-respect, you're just being difficult. And asking for equality, whoa, now you're challenging the whole system.
So yeah, the social price tag for trading in authenticity can be incredibly high. You might be misunderstood, you might even be excluded. But the payoff, the internal payoff, is priceless. We're talking about real clarity, a sense of liberation, the feeling of being in charge of your own self, freedom from having to wear a mask all the time. You just can't buy that with conformity.
And of course, this isn't just about what happens in a classroom. This market is operating everywhere. It's at the family dinner table, it's in the corporate boardroom, it's in the halls of power. So let's break down what your behavioral portfolio might look like by comparing the two main types of investors we see. This table really lays out the core conflict. On one side, you have the authentic investor, their investment, integrity, honesty. The system sees them as unpredictable, a threat, so they get slapped with labels like arrogant or difficult, but the internal outcome, they're aligned, they're psychologically whole. Then you've got the conforming investor. They invest in obedience and silence. The system loves them. They get called loyal and respectful. But the internal cost? A spiritual weakening. Do you see the pattern here? The system often rewards what weakens the individual.
And here's the kicker.
This is where the behavioral market is totally different from the stock market. You can't diversify. You can't hedge your bets. Trying to be a little bit authentic on Monday and then a little bit conforming on Tuesday, it just doesn't work. It leads to this internal conflict, this breakage, because you can't be half authentic.
You know, after watching these transactions play out my entire life, I've come to realize something really fundamental. The most important, the most critical transaction you will ever make, it's not with your boss, it's not with your family. The biggest deal you'll ever close is the one you make with yourself. Because real security, real stability in this incredibly volatile market, it doesn't come from making a bunch of successful social trades. It comes from protecting the one asset in your portfolio that is non-negotiable, the one thing that should never, ever be for sale. And that one, single, uncompromised asset is your integrity. It's the only currency that holds its value internally, no matter what the market is doing outside. You can't buy it, you can't borrow it, and you must never, ever sell it.
So that brings me to a final question, and this one is for you. I want you to really think about it. In your own life, in your own personal behavioral market, what currency are you trading with? Are you playing it safe, investing in conformity for that temporary feeling of security? Or are you taking the gamble, the big risk on authenticity for that lasting internal wealth?
Because at the end of the day, here's the ultimate takeaway. We all have to participate in this market. Behavior is the currency we use to get through life. There's no escaping that. But our integrity, that's not currency. That is our wealth. That's the one thing we hold on to, the one thing we never, ever trade.